Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guest today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. And we have an episode today where maybe we're going to talk about something not so harmonious. I don't know, resilience. Does resilience and harmonious go hand in hand? We're going to find out, but we're going to dive into an incredible story and what it means to be resilient or build resilience as a small business owner, which we all we need that, especially in today's marketplace. I have an incredible guest with me, Chrissy Myers, and she's going to unpack this for me. So before we go any further, Chrissy, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you, Brandon. I'm excited to share whatever you have in store.
Well, I was hoping to share whatever you have in store. So this is a little bit awkward, but no. Okay. So I want to lay the foundation here because, we've had so many amazing guests on this show. And every now and then a guest will come on and they use a big word in their topic like resilience. And for people like me, I just want to make sure we're speaking the same language. So let me hear from your mouth. How do you define what it is to be resilient or build resilience as a small business owner?
Yeah. So to be resilient is to be flexible. So resilience is the ability, it's elasticity. It's the ability to bounce back after something happens, whether it's a positive or a negative. And oftentimes I talk about being reluctantly resilient. So as business owners, sometimes we don't take the next step forward because we want to. Sometimes we do that because we have to. So having a growth mindset, not being stuck in that fixed mindset, being able to continue to grow and be elastic, change as the economy and different things in our lives and circumstances dictate us to change. So that's really what being resilient is. It's not about being bulletproof. It's not about being perfect. It's about being able to keep moving forward even when things are difficult.
Yeah, and to me, I don't know if you agree with this, but kind of what I hear when people say resilience is you're lowering the bar of expectations, but in a good way, because you're not striving for perfection or being right all of the time or always doing the right things. It's just saying like, no, whatever comes my way, I can adapt to it and change to it. Does that resonate with how you describe resilience?
I would say so. It's more of, you can't always control the waves that are coming at you, but you can adjust your sails or you can paddle into the current, learning those different tools that can help you just keep moving in the direction that you want to go. It doesn't mean that hard things aren't going to happen, but it doesn't stop us in our tracks. So yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't to me seem like this topic aligns with what you do in terms of fractional HR support. So there's always that backstory, right? Like what made you first come upon the topic of resilience in small business and why is it a passion for you to talk about?
Yeah, so I think that like several business owners that I've talked to, in fact, most of them, I mean, we go into resilience kicking and screaming, not because I necessarily want to, but because I have to. So grew up in a third generation family business in the insurance industry, launched Clarity, the fractional HR business about 5 years ago, but really walked into the resilience journey when we had a major disruption in our insurance business with some major legislation that took place that really took our industry and flipped it upside down. At the same time, while we're stepping through how do we navigate all of those changes, I lost my husband to suicide. So dealing with a professional hurricane and a personal hurricane at the same time really kind of threw me into the ring of resilience and understanding, what does growth look like? How do you take care of yourself? As a person while you're leading a team of individuals? How do you make sure that everything still continues to happen as a business leader, maintaining your business while your family is trying to rebuild and while you're trying to heal from grief? So I would say that I came kicking and screaming into a resilience journey. It wasn't something that I wanted to do, but it was something that I had to do. And now as I look back, I have all of these lessons and things that I can share with people, not because I did things perfectly at all. I mean, at one point in time, I wasn't paying attention and wasn't being mentally present, trying to be superwoman after my husband had died. And I almost burnt my house down. So literally almost burnt my house down. So trying to make sure that some of the lessons that I've learned, I can share with other people. So maybe it's not a how-to, I have it all figured out, but hey, you might want to skip this step or this lesson if you can. Learn it from me. Don't have to learn it yourself.
Yeah, I would love to unpack some of those lessons because I think we've all been there, right? I mean, there are times in my own life I can point to where I think the common theme, at least for me, is the phrase if I could just, or if it would just, like whatever that phrase is going to lead to, that's the kicking and screaming to me. Like I'm thinking of a time where if it was when I hired a bunch of employees and then it was chaos in my last business, and I was like, oh, if it was just simple, like before I hired all these people, and that's the kicking and screaming through resilience, right? So
Mhm.
help me unpack this, because what are some of those things that you learned that other people, other small business owners listening to the show maybe are experiencing right now, and we can help them just hit fast forward, if you will.
Yeah. So a couple of things. I think there are two primary things that to be a resilient business owner you need. The first one is a what else. And that what else is that thing that drives you in your business beyond making money. Because if it was all about making money, Brandon, we just have jobs. We wouldn't do all of the other things that come with entrepreneurship, all of the worries about having to make payroll, hiring employees, am I serving the right part of the community? Am I delivering a good product? So I mean, having that what else beyond mission. And so for me, our what else within AUI and Clarity is that we believe that serving the community is just as important as doing business in the community. So finding a way to infuse philanthropy into our business model has been really important. And that is my what else, is creating new ripples in the world around us in our community. So that's the first. And the second thing that I would say in building a resilient business and building a resilient business leader is to continue to build your interpersonal effectiveness skills. And some of those things are enhancing your communication, growing your emotional intelligence, dealing with how do I handle difficult situations. So oftentimes how you manage stress as a business owner can take a toll on your body. It can take a toll on your family. So learning those ways to manage your distress tolerance when things aren't uncomfortable. And sometimes as a business owner, we can't solve things in a 24-hour period. There are times that it takes a week, a month, 6 months for us to get an idea to fruition or to solve a key problem or concern that we might have in our business. So being able to kind of manage some of those things. And also in communication, like being able to communicate with our employees effectively, communicate with our customers, but then also handle giving them difficult information. Because sometimes as a business leader, we don't always get to give the good news. Sometimes we have to deliver the hard news. And so building that ability to communicate effectively, validating where someone is coming from, validating sometimes their emotion or their feeling, but not always the action or the outcome is really important. And those are skills that we build as leaders over time. So those are the two things that I would say as a business owner, if you want to be resilient and really start building that flexibility and elasticity within yourself, it's finding that what else for your business that drives you beyond money, and then also building those interpersonal effectiveness skills.
Yeah, the first one I think is super important because I see this all the time. People are just finding or looking for quick ways to make money. There's scam after scam on the internet, and a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs fall for these things because there is no what else. And
Yeah.
there's no, that's your guiding principle is, well, if I make money, then I can serve my community. For you in particular, that's a beautiful thing. You always know that you're working in service of somebody or something else, which really pulls you forward. The second point, though, I'm really curious how
Mhm.
you go about accelerating that timeline, because one would argue that the best way to learn how to manage stress is to just have to manage stress over and over and over. And I don't think we want to do that. That's not good. That's not good business advice that if we were to give that on this show. So what are some of those ways that you start to build those skills? Some people call them soft skills.
Uh-huh.
Quite honestly, those are the hardest skills to build. So I
Oh,
don't know why
yes.
we're calling them soft skills, but how do we go about developing this side of ourselves intentionally, and also accelerating that timeline somewhat, just so we don't have to do it over and over and over?
Yes. So I think part of that is finding a group of people that can hold you accountable. So whether that is a mastermind group, a group of other entrepreneurs that are in your community, a group of business owner friends, finding a coach, all sorts of different things that you can do to kind of work through those, give you additional skill sets. There's all sorts of I mean, different chambers of commerce, different organizations, everybody has a course, everybody has a book. So trying to figure out, what is that one thing? If I know that I do not deliver difficult information to people efficiently and effectively, that's the skill that you need to work on. So you continue to hone what those things are. At the same time, especially as business owners, I think one thing that we struggle with, or at least I know I struggle with, Brandon, is being able to turn off. So what do I need to do to stay mentally present? Because at the end of the day, I love my business, but my business is not my family. So we have Team Awesome Sauce at home. So we have 4 people, 3 different last names, a mom that builds businesses and a dad that played team sports. You get a team name, team logo, all the things that go with it, core values. So Team Awesome Sauce is really who I truly care about, and they are my people passion. But if I don't give time to Team Awesome Sauce, and it doesn't matter whether I'm at home or not, if I'm worried about my email, if I'm worried about payroll, if I don't have the ability to turn off, I'm not in service to Team Awesome Sauce. So learning to build that skill around being mentally present in the moment is so important. And I think that especially as business owners, if we're continuing to grow and our business is continuing to grow, that is a skill that we are often looking at mastery for, because as you continue to level up that spiral, there's always going to be a different level of pressure. The other thing that's important, as someone who comes from a generational family business, so we're 3rd generation family business on the insurance side, 4th generation is getting ready to start work next week. Being able to build a business that can be handed off is also about relationship. And if you have an unhealthy relationship with your business, if your children look at your business as that other child that gets all the attention, but never really, you don't pay attention to them, they're never going to want to be in your business. So as you think about, what is the right relationship? If I have family, if I have other relationships that are important to me besides my business, how do I balance? I think that that's something, especially as business owners who have families, entrepreneurial families, we really want to make sure that we're being intentional with.
That's really interesting. I want to highlight that too. And you mentioned everyone has a book to help you. Well, you have a book to help us with it too. I put it on the screen, and wherever you're watching or listening, it's also in the show notes down below. You can go grab a copy of Chrissy's book. But and I want to hear more about that in a little bit. But I want to ask that question on family business, but also giving your business too much attention as an entrepreneur. I'm a dad of 3. You're a mom of Team Awesome Sauce, which is the coolest name ever. I absolutely love that. But we have that complex situation. You and I were both in the situation of a family business too. So I kind of see this from both sides. Both of those are very difficult waters to navigate, especially at the same time. So I'm curious. I mean, what are some of the things that you did both in the family business to not ruin the family dynamic? And then what are you doing now to not sacrifice time and attention with your kids, but also still grow a thriving business? Because I think both are important.
Yeah. So for me, it has been figuring out what that cadence is as a family and also as a business owner. So working with Steve, my husband, and our team at AUI and Clarity to kind of figure out, what is the right mix of time. Also understanding as a family that we have weekly meetings as a family, and we also have a monthly meeting. So similar to some of the things that you do in your business, people talk about how we run our family like a business. I would disagree. I would say we run our business like family, in that, it's really important that you are intentional on the family part, even more so than the business part, because the business part you can continue to grow with a little bit of time. Your family, if you're not paying attention, can really have issues if you don't give it the attention that it deserves. So we have that meeting cadence, but we've built core values in our family around time, how we make decisions. So if we're going to make a big business decision, there are certain things that we know we have to allow for. One is that time is precious. We know that we have less than 100 weekends with our daughter before she graduates from high school. So knowing if we're going to take on a project that's going to take me away from our family for 12, 14, 16 of those weekends, that's not something that I'm willing to make as a sacrifice right now. So really, what is important to you? And then at the same time, we have the ability as a family to call those meetings in. Team Awesome Sauce can say, hey, Mom, we're not seeing you as much right now. We have guardrails around our time. So when I get home in the evening, there's no phone, there's no email. Everything, I think that as business owners, as we're growing a business, we believe everybody needs to hear from me all the time. I need to be able to respond all the time. If I don't, then I'm not meeting the needs of my clients. I'm not taking care of my employees. When really, having good boundaries around your time to take care of yourself and take care of your family is probably one of the most important things that you can do as a business owner. Newsflash. Everyone will survive if you don't return that email in 24 hours. It's okay if you respond at 8 a.m. instead of 8 p.m. because you want to tuck your kids in and read them a story. I mean, those moments you don't get back. No one, those emails you can get back. And I think that, are there moments where you can make that argument that you've missed an opportunity because you were present at home? Probably, but wasn't it worth it?
Yeah, it's one of those things, I always think about it, and I have to stop myself in the moment sometimes because it's so easy to pick up your phone and look, right?
Yeah.
And then if you see the little notification, the little red dot, it's our drug these days where you just want to, well, what is the email? It's harmless to look at what the email is, right? But then what you said before is where you're not thinking about it. That for me was the big thing a number of years ago when I kind of started this journey, because I was addicted to my business and it was awful for my family.
Yeah.
And disconnecting from my business, putting the phone down is one thing, leaving the office is one thing, but disconnecting mentally is super hard. And I see that for a lot of people too. I know we're both not alone in that.
Yeah.
You have to pause and just say what matters. And if you are confused by that, I would ask a lot more questions because you're right. I mean, you're not going to get this time back. And as annoying as my kids are at bedtime, I love every single minute because I know in 3 to 5 years, they're not going to let me in the room.
Exactly.
And that's going to be a hard pill to swallow if I didn't take this time now to enjoy it.
Yes. And I think that it's important, especially as business owners, when our kids and our family ask us for more time, that's an indication that we may be out of balance. And I think that we have the Team Awesome Sauce has the ability to throw a flag at any point in time with either my husband or myself as far as like where we're spending our time. Do we need more time at home? And I think that there have been moments in the past where I've been like, wait a second, you really need me right now? And now I look back and I go, those are moments where they're willing to communicate and say, hey, I want your time. So as long as when your family's asking you for more time, give them the ability to communicate with you as to what that means and at least be willing to listen. I'm not saying that they're right all the time. They probably are. But just allow that permission and space to listen, because if your family is telling you we want more of your time, chances are you're out of balance.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I would love to try out for Team Awesome Sauce. I don't know if you're accepting applications. You guys sound phenomenal. I love this concept though. You said you run, the only caveat I say is I've seen a lot of bad examples of family. So maybe not always run your family like a business or business like a family. Just paint the picture of what that looks like, make sure it's healthy. But I
Yeah.
love that you do that. That's amazing. We didn't talk about your book yet. I want to hear what prompted you to write this book and who is it for, really? Because this has been
Yes.
an amazing episode.
Yeah, so Reluctantly Resilient is the name of the book, and it's a high five and a hug for small business owners. So I wrote the book as a small business owner to try to encourage individuals to put philanthropy in their business. And then as I continued to write the book, it became more of a cadence for talking about, a small series of conversations that maybe we would have if we went to brunch, where you asked like, how did you transition your family business? How did you deal with a major setback in your organization and then deal with a personal tragedy at the same time? How do you build philanthropy in your business? What's the one skill that you learned in communication and transitioning your family business with your mother? And I will tell you this, anybody that thinks family business transition is easy is lying to you. It's hard. And so how did you do that and survive and still want to talk to each other? So those are some of the conversations and the lessons that are in the book. It's fairly short. I would say audiobook is coming out very soon. It'll probably be out within the next week. So look for it on Audible. If you don't like to read, it's about a 3.5-hour listen. So it's what my goal is, to be effective and efficient in any space. So it's just really understanding how to be resilient in your business and how to be a resilient business owner so you can live, what I would call an awesome sauce life.
Awesome sauce life. I love it. That's so fantastic. Chrissy, this has been phenomenal. And I love to end these episodes with a question from you though, because we can listen to this whole episode and it all sounds great and it's fantastic. We want to create our own Team Awesome Sauce, but I find that powerful questions get you powerful answers. That's why there's a giant obnoxious question mark behind my head here. So I want to know for you, what is that question that you want the listener to walk away with and think about for the rest of today, the rest of this week, the rest of this month, about building that resilience in their lives and in their small business, what do you want someone to think about until they get that powerful answer?
Yes. So much about building resilience is what enables us to create ripples. We may not necessarily know what that initial drop was, but we can always see the ripples on the water. So my question is, how do you create ripples in your life? Whether it's in your business or it's in your family, how do you want to create those ripples?
That is so cool. I love, full disclosure, I've only started asking that recently, and I have loved every single question that we've gotten at the end of these episodes. I don't know which one's my favorite. I'm going to put a book together of all of them and
Oh, I love it.
just mull over it. But Chrissy, thank you so much for being here. This was an amazing episode, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you very much. It's been exciting to be here.
For those of you watching, listening, wherever you are, we want to make sure you subscribe so you keep hearing this podcast every single day of the week. And if you want to learn more about Chrissy, there's so many other things that she does that we didn't even get to unpack. It's all down in the show notes and description down below, along with a link to go get your copy of the book. Get a high five and a hug as a small business owner. How awesome is that? We'll see you next time on Harmonious at Lunch. Thanks for being here.